my biggest thing is this gives us more stability because of farming. We get paid 2 or 3 times a year. We get paid a harvest or when we sell cattle. So this gives us a steady income every month and gives us, the bankers love it because they know exactly you're getting guaranteed money every month. So
hello everybody and welcome back to the Off Farm Income Podcast. Hey, this is episode number 1167. We have a fascinating interview with you for you today with a unbelievably innovative farming entrepreneur out of Northeast Colorado who has come up with a unbelievable business. I'm very excited to share it with you. Composting dead pigs. He is getting paid to take the dead pigs and dispose of them. He is creating compost, and he's invented a piece of equipment that's going to allow him to go around the country and consult and show people how to set up this very same business. This is the most ideal example of what we're trying to do here on the Off Farm Income Podcast, and I am very excited to bring it to you. We're going to get started right now with Mr. Rock Rutledge of Ace Composting. Rock, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today.
thank you for having me.
Hey, it is my pleasure. I am really looking forward to hearing about your business. It is one that I have never, ever profiled on the show. It makes a ton of sense to me, and I'm actually really enthused about it. And, we were talking before we started the interview. You don't have a website. You don't have social media, which is a thrill for me because it means that your business is one that probably not a lot of people have been exposed to. And I'm very interested in it. Could you do this? Would you mind starting off by just giving everybody a little introduction to you, where you live, what you do, family, all that type of stuff?
Okay. So I live in Yuma, Colorado. It's the northeastern part of the state. And my family's, we've been here over 100 years on the same land. So we've been here quite a while. Both my parents have deceased. And so I farm with my brother and his family. So my brother's married and has 2 boys, and I have twin boy and a girl, twins. And my kids are just 4.5 years old now. So.
Oh my goodness. You're busier than I thought.
But we raise corn, wheat. We used to raise pigs. Now we don't. Now we just, we're kind of like a bed and breakfast for Smithfield Foods. We take care of their pigs for them.
Okay.
We have capacity for about 12,000 pigs.
Wow.
At one time.
Okay. And what part of the state is Yuma in?
It's in the northeastern corner.
Okay.
Just south of I-76.
Okay.
That runs through Colorado. So.
Okay. Very, very interesting. And so you're doing the conventional farming. You used to have what, a farrow to finish operation or?
Just all market pigs. We'd raise them for Smithfield. Or before Smithfield, it was Alliance Farms as we first started raising pigs out here.
So it's always been kind of contract raising of pigs?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. And now you're doing that for Smithfield when they need you?
Correct.
Okay. I heard something the other day that pork prices were up. Did I hear correctly?
Yep. They've been going up a little bit. So actually all commodity prices have been doing pretty good lately. So cattle and everything. So.
Okay. So 100 years. What first brought your family out to Northeast Colorado?
They moved in from Nebraska and just, there's open land here. So they homesteaded and started from there.
Okay. Well, so today we're going to talk about your business, which is Ace Composting. Very interesting, but it's using, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it is using it's using pigs that have died and creating compost, out of that byproduct there.
Correct.
Okay, so tell us about this. How does it all work? And are you just doing it with the pigs there off of your place, or are you bringing in pigs from other farms as well?
I do it all for Smithfield Foods. I take all their pigs in, plus the one, and it's their pigs that are on my place too. So
okay.
But I started doing this about almost 20 years ago for Alliance Farms. They needed some way to get rid of deads, and my dad always said, when each son comes back, he needs to start another business to help support. So we came up with this idea, and it was pretty crude at the beginning. We're thinking about just using a small belling machine and run pigs through it to chop them up. Well, that would
really? Okay.
That would have been really nasty. So
yeah, I would think.
We came up with some different designs and used started out just a vertical feed mixer, and put the pigs in the vertical feed mixer, and that would chop them up. But they'd still come out. I'd come out with a half a head or the entire back skin or half a hip or something. And I did that for a long time. And then as the tallow price increased, Murphy Brown decided that they started to go to a rendering company because they'd send the pigs up there, then they'd bring them tallow, so they'd got a better deal on their tallow. It's cheaper for them, so I just started doing it on the weekends. And about 2 years ago, Smithfield decided instead of being a production facility, they're going to be a breeding facility. So they had to really tighten up their biosecurity. They're having trouble with the rendering company trucks coming from Denver and going to other places also, not getting disinfected. They're bringing diseases in. So they've had to shut down some barns and depopulate barns and clean a few times, which cost them a ton of money.
Yeah.
So they contacted me again, or we contacted each other, and they want to know if I'd start composting 7 days a week again. Well, to do that, I had to come up with a new system to make it more efficient and easier, just a cleaner system. So I started calling around to different companies and had some stuff custom built for me. So now I actually use a shredding machine like you see that cars go through.
Yep. Okay.
So all the pigs are delivered to me. They dump into a wagon that can raise up and tilt. So I take that wagon. Once they show up, I know how many pounds of pigs I have. So I preload the mixer and I mix it with corn stalks, wheat straw. And right now I'm using wood shavings from trucks.
Okay.
So I put my ratio into the mixers to have it mixing, dump the pigs into the hopper, and the hopper feeds 2 twin screw U-troughs, and that transports the pigs up. I think it's 15 foot up the augers, then they drop through a shredding machine. Okay. So that I can do, I've only been going full time with this system since August 1st, only 12 days.
Okay.
But it's running like Cadillac, and so it drops through the shredding machine and it shreds it really, really fine, drops into another U-trough auger, and from that auger it moves into my mixing machine where it mixes in with the corn stalks, wheat straw, and then once the shredding was done, that's mixed good enough, so I start loading the mixer. Okay. And it goes up another U-trough auger into a holding pit. Then I use a loader tractor to move it from that holding pit into compost bins. And I'll load. My bins are just 4x4x8 square bales, 2 high and 2 wide. Okay. So I load each bin for 30 days. And I put about a foot of straw on the bottom, and then as I fill it, I put straw on top of the compost too. Okay. So the pile's about 10 foot tall. Okay. In the end. Then after I fill it for 30 days, I'll cap it off, close it, let it sit for 30 days as I fill another one. And then I'll take a loader, empty that bin out, and put it into another bin that incorporates oxygen back into it, gets the process going again. Because I need to stay above 131 degrees for 72 hours. And my first 24 hours, I'm up to 140 degrees. So you want to be there so you kill the pathogens and weed seeds, or just make it a good product.
Fascinating, man. A couple thoughts. One, going all the way back to your dad. So I've been doing this show 7 years with this concept of creating businesses for off-farm income. But obviously I'm not the original. Your dad, he told you that a long time ago. Okay, that's really cool. And then the mixing and doing this in that vertical feed mixer. So I've mixed feed in vertical feed mixers and fed in a feedlot out of them. And I'm trying to remember those doors on the bottom. I feel like if you got all that liquid in there, that stuff's going to be leaking out even if it's closed. Am I wrong?
There's no liquid.
When you mix these mortality pigs, there's no liquid?
No, because once it hits the straw and the corn stalks, it soaks it all up.
Okay, so you were mixing it in the vertical feed mixer with the other ingredients.
It comes from the straw and corn stalks are in the mixer already.
Okay, I'm talking about your first try. Remember when you said your first try?
And with that, I also have had the corn stalks and wheat straw in first, and then added the pigs in.
Okay, got it.
Because there'd be no way it'd hold the liquid.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay. So that's fascinating. So how did you come up with your recipe, I guess, to do this?
No, just trial and error.
Okay.
And it takes a long time to get the recipe right. And because a lot of compost sites, they have to add water. But since I have so much blood, my biggest thing is getting my product dry enough, but not too dry, because you have to have enough moisture for everything to happen.
Right.
So.
Man, that's fascinating. Now, your compost, are you selling it? Are you using it on your own farm? I mean, where's it being used?
Right now, I'm just going to use it all on my own farm. I'll use it on our pastures. We have a lot of pasture. In summertime, I run about 2,000 head of cattle on grass. So the blowouts, we'll use it to fill in blowouts and maybe fix some trail roads until I get a good recipe down. Because this is a whole new, I'm going to have to change the recipe because this is a whole new way of doing it. So I imagine I'll have to twerk my recipe a little bit, tweak it so it works good. So then eventually I could sell it. But.
Okay. And when you say fix a blowout, what do you mean?
Oh, like sand. We're in the sand hills.
Okay.
So sometimes you'll get places that just get cattle tromped too much.
Okay.
And there's blowouts. And the wind comes in and keeps digging, making a bigger hole.
Okay. And so you can restore the soil there with your compost.
Yep.
Okay.
So it helps improve the organic matter, and then it'll mat down really good.
Okay.
And hold the sand.
And so when you're using it on pasture, are you just spreading it on top, or are you doing anything to incorporate it?
No, just on top with a manure spreader.
Okay. And so I'm assuming you've got to spread it at the right depth. Otherwise, it might be detrimental.
Yep. You have to go pretty light. And if we spread it on the fields, we always mix it with manure. Because you can't spread the compost light enough with the spreader we have. With other spreader, I mean, if I got a different spreader, we'd be able to spread it light enough. But the spreader I have, we have to blend it with cattle manure to get a good consistency spread.
Fascinating. And then what are you seeing in terms of results on your pastures?
Oh, it's coming. I mean, it's helping on the blowouts a lot.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do it this new way because on my old system, I'd always end up with chunks of bone. Like hip bone or half a skull or jaws or something like that. And with this new system using a shredder, there's no bones whatsoever at the beginning, so that'll speed up the composting process. And everything else. So.
All right. Well, let's talk about the part of this business that might turn some people's stomachs. So so we kind of know where the pigs are coming from, but how many pigs are you receiving on a daily or a weekly basis?
Oh, I do about 14,000 pounds a day.
14,000 pounds a day. And so
7 days a week.
Oh boy, that is a lot. So I'm trying to think, I mean, are these pigs coming in at 200 pounds? Are they coming in at 50? I
get everything from after birth all the way to full size boars and sows.
Okay. And so you're doing that, man, that sounds like a full-time job. How long does it take you to get this done every day?
2 hours.
2 hours. And that's with receiving the delivery of the pigs, loading them, putting together your recipe, mixing everything, and getting it put into the compost bin?
Yep.
And how many days does it take you to fill one of those bins that you described?
No, I fill it for 30 days.
Oh.
I'll put 30 days worth of, that way I stay on a good schedule.
Okay.
That way, once I get done filling it for 30 days, I'll sit for 30 days.
Oh, I see.
And after that, I'll come back in. I'll move it out of that bin. And I might just be able to do it in a pile, or I'll see how this recipe looks. I might just be able to pile it up and let it finish in a pile, or I might put it back in another bin.
Okay.
And let it sit.
So you're filling it. So you're constantly putting new raw materials in there every day for 30 days. Then you let it do its work.
Yep.
And then after that 30 days is up, you're storing it somewhere or you're spreading it?
It'll stay stored.
Okay.
And it'll just be put into a pile, and we'll just use it when we need it. So it'll take, like, to spread a 120-acre field, it'll take a year's worth of production to be able to do one field.
Wow.
So I don't produce that much compost. I mean, it all breaks down really good.
Well, that's fascinating, because the numbers you're talking about that you're getting in terms of mortality pigs, it's fascinating that it doesn't turn into that much compost.
Nope, it breaks down really good.
Huh. That is really interesting. Now, I think I asked you this earlier, but my mind is so blown that it may have slipped past me. This idea came from where?
Just my dad and I brainstormed one night, and I'll tell people I just basically had a bad dream one night of how to do it, make it work. So,
so it started with a nightmare.
Then with this new process, I've been thinking about doing it this way for several years, just never took the time to actually research it, or because like I basically had to have everything custom built for me for how I wanted it. So,
is anybody else doing this that you know of?
Not in this particular way, I don't think.
Okay.
I mean, there's people composting, but most of the pictures you see, they're putting them whole pigs down in layers and putting straw on top, coming back later, putting another layer down, putting straw on top, and that's too labor intensive. And doing that when it's 105 degrees out is not a fun thing to be doing.
So they're just letting the pigs decompose in there. Interesting. Okay.
And that's the original way of composting. And just like some dairies in Colorado, they just make windrows of cattle manure, then bury them in the cattle manure, then come back after a while and turn it with a windrow turner or something else to start breaking them down faster.
Interesting. Okay. So this started with, I guess, an excess, a problem or a question of what do we do with the pigs that die in our barn?
Because originally there's a rendering works about 60 miles away from here, and they're picking them up for free. Then they started charging for them, and now they don't want to do anything with them anymore. Just that's too much for them to handle. So then Darling in Denver was picking them up, but then you have to transport them from Yuma 2 hours west to Denver, and sometimes their plant breaks down or the truck can't make it out here. So I kept, if they never showed up, I'd compost them my old way. But I've been working on this new system for about 2 years. Okay. And I just finally got started. Got started the last week in July. I did 5 days that week. And then August 1st, I started full time.
That is exciting. Really cool. Hey, everybody, just a quick break from this fascinating interview with Rock Rutledge to talk about our great sponsors. Of course, Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment. Over 80 years of developing the finest in livestock handling equipment right out here in the western United States with some of the hardest to handle cattle we've got in this entire country. Hey, I use Powder River on my own farm. I paid for my equipment with my very own money, and I have never regretted it. And as a matter of fact, when it comes time to work cows now, well, it's just not something that makes me apprehensive at all. And we want you to have the same experience. Whether or not your herd is large or small, Powder River has designed equipment specific for you and specific for your operating budget. Go on over to powderriver.com, check out all they've got to offer, and hey, let your local farm and ranch retailer know you want to see that Powder River green out in their sales yard, so you also can have the finest in livestock handling equipment. Well, everybody, another great sponsor of this show, of course, is Lacrosse Footwear. You can find them at lacrossefootwear.com. Done right since 1897, Lacrosse Footwear has been making quality boots for hunting, working, and tending the land for over a century. I also spent my own money on my very own pair of Alpha Range boots from Lacrosse. I have never had a pair of neoprene-based chore boots last longer, perform better, and keep my feet more warm, dry, and comfortable than my Alpha Range boots from Lacrosse. I owned those boots for about a year before I ever reached out to Lacrosse and asked them to be a sponsor, and it has been a great relationship ever since. You guys go on over to lacrossefootwear.com. Check out everything they've got for you. They've got chore boots, they've got hunting boots, hip waders, whatever it is you need or you can imagine. Lacrosse has thought of it already. They've got them out there for you. And hey, let's get you into lacrosse today. That is absolutely my recommendation. All right, well, back into this great interview with Rock Rutledge. Okay, so the pigs that are coming to you right now, they're free?
Yeah, well, I charge them.
Oh.
That's how I make it work. I charge them per pound of pig delivered to me.
No kidding. So
the compost coming out the back end is just,
it's a bonus.
That's my trash.
That is awesome.
I don't put a value on that. All my value comes in the front end.
That is great.
So with Smithfield, I did a multi-year contract because I invested a ton of money into this system.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure once it got delivered to me, or once they started working on it, I mean, its value went down to nothing because it's all custom built for me.
Mm-hmm.
So once I started using it, I mean, so I want to make sure I get everything paid off and make some money doing it. And And Smithfield loves it because it gives them total biosecurity.
Okay.
They don't have to worry about any other diseases coming in from outside sources.
So, and let me stop on that for a second. So they don't have to. So you mentioned Darling. I use Darling. I'm in Idaho, and if I got a dead cow or something like that, that's who we use too. So you're talking about if they're coming out from Denver with a truck to pick up these pigs, you're talking about that biosecurity. They may have stopped at another pig farm, and now they're bringing.
Well, no, they just never. Like in one instance, they traced the disease back because as such they were able to identify the disease. They traced it back to another hog farm that's 80 miles away. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they drop a trailer off there, load their dead pigs, take them to Denver, not wash the trailer or anything, bring the trailer back to Yuma. And then as the dead trucks came close to that trailer, it would transfer.
Interesting.
So this way, everything's total biosecurity. And Smithfield, they don't do production here anymore. It's just all a breeding facility because they're changing their genetics throughout the nation. Mm-hmm. And since Yuma is so isolated, they keep us isolated. They're doing all the genetic breeding in Yuma, then transferring all the pigs out to repopulate the nation.
And so is Smithfield your only customer right now?
Yeah.
They are. And so when we talk about biosecurity, the reason that's so good is because they are the only pig truck coming back and forth to your place.
Yep.
Okay, interesting. How does that impact your thoughts for the future? Are there other potential customers out there for you?
Yeah, we have several feedlots around. So I might, after running this for a year or 6 months or a year, I might start talking feedlots and do feedlots the same way.
Okay.
And just buy another shredding machine. I'd build another system that'd be a little bit different, and that would give me a backup too. So if this system ever broke down, I can use it too.
Sure.
But on that deal, I don't want to deal with trucks or employees picking up dead animals, so I'd have to either tell the feedlots to get together and form an LLC for a trucking company to haul the deads.
Interesting. Now, would there be any biosecurity concerns there if you were having beef cattle brought to your place for crossover with the pigs?
Since they're different species, there shouldn't be, but they'd have a totally separate driveway coming in.
Okay.
And they'd be totally separated.
Okay. So regardless, you would have it set up so it could be done that way.
Yep.
Okay. Very interesting. So basically, you saw a problem. It sounds to me like there was really nowhere convenient within miles and nowhere that offered the biosecurity that you could offer by doing this. And so you invested the money, took the risk, set up the service to provide this to the folks that are local to you there in Northeast Colorado.
Yep.
Okay. Very interesting.
We got I have an exclusive contract with them for so many years, and I'm guaranteed 5 million pounds of dead pigs a year. So.
Wow. Okay. And you charge by the pound, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Okay. Very interesting. Now, I wanted to ask you about this past year with COVID. There was all these backups, and there was all these pigs that they could not get in, and so there was going to be all this euthanasia. How did that impact what you were doing? And this was before your new system.
Yep. We didn't have any of those problems here.
Okay.
And one thing COVID did mess up with me. I was actually supposed to start in the middle of March with my new operation. And because of all the backups on getting machinery, I didn't get all my machinery here until the beginning of July. Okay. So, I was already 90 days late on when I was supposed to start. And I think I finally started about 120 days late. So,
wow, man, you think big. I mean, I consider myself to be a little bit innovative, but this is big, and that's a huge investment. It sounds like too.
It was a very big investment. Scary. I was scared.
Yeah.
I was scared until the first time I started up, and
it worked. Okay, man, that is fascinating. Okay, so going forward, you've got one customer. I know you already know this, but of course, that presents a little bit of risk to you in and of itself, right? Because if something happens with them, or something happens with they change facilities, somebody in some corporate office decides that Yuma is no longer the place for them, or whatever that may be, then that customer, it negatively impacts your business. So,
And I made provisions for that in the contract. If they cancel the contract, I get paid so much per day for the remaining of the contract. And that'll cover all my costs, my payments, and everything. So,
man, that is so cool because What?
I want to make sure my butt was covered everywhere. So.
Well, that's very, very smart. And honestly, I don't even know if I would have thought about that, but that is very, very smart. But of course, you live there and you've seen them come and go. You've seen them change how they do their operations and all of that. But what's interesting to me about that is that you created so much value for these people. I mean, this started obviously with the seed of an idea, but do you feel a little bit, I don't know if proud's the right word, but I mean, your idea, you've proven the concept, right? If they're willing to commit and say, even if we stop producing pigs in this region, we're still going to pay you. You've demonstrated so much value to them. They're willing to go out on the line like that. That's really cool.
And this just the biosecurity deal is the most important part to them. So
yeah, that is incredible, man. I love that feeling. I've never done it on the scale that you're talking about, but you come up with an idea, you put it into motion, and you make it come true. Have you ever worked anywhere but your farm? Like, have you been in some sort of a job with a corporate structure or anything like that?
Not the corporate structure. Right when I graduated high school, I moved to Germany and worked on a dairy farm for a year.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
So through FFA, I won a Congress Bundestag scholarship. So I won a scholarship to work in Germany for a year and go to language school. So I was over there when the wall came down and the first Persian Gulf War was going on. So
oh, wow. That's interesting.
I was over there, interesting times.
Yeah. Where in Germany were you?
I was southwest of Munich.
Oh, like by Fuse?
Next to a small town called Landsberg.
Oh, okay.
Is where I actually went to school.
Okay.
So.
Yep, I've taken one big trip in my whole life, and we found ourselves in Fusen, which is probably close to where you were. Fascinating stuff. So the reason I was asking that is one of the things I love about talking with entrepreneurs like yourself is you come up with an idea and you make it happen. And I think like your customer with this large corporate structure, if they'd come up with this idea, it would have had to have weaved its way through all this different bureaucracy and committees and people, and it would probably gotten killed or altered to where it wouldn't work. But with you can put it into place, and here it goes.
Yep, and it took 2 years to get them to approve a contract, because the first contract was a 5-year contract, and that would have been more expensive because it's such short term, and I want to get my machinery paid off.
Yeah.
So we came back and decided to do a 10-year contract, and that helped me cheapen it up for them a little bit. But it still took almost a year for them to sign it. By the time I went through all the levels.
How did you initially approach them with this idea and sell them on it?
Oh, I told them because when they're hauling when everything was going to Darling, they were still using my site, and I was a transfer point because they'd come to my site because I had the ramps, dump into my wagon, then I'd take that wagon and dump into the semi that went to Denver. Okay. And I was just getting tired of doing that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to stop. I said, oh, well, what if we get you composting again full time? If you come up with a way to do it, we'll look at it. So that was 2 years ago. So I came up, I started making phone calls and came up with suppliers and people who can make the stuff for me. Okay. And went through all the numbers to make sure it worked. Okay. And then it came back and approached them and just kept going from there. Because I started here in Yuma, and it had to work its way all the way up back to the corporate headquarters in China, maybe. I don't know.
Like we were just talking about. So you solved this problem for this company close by, but certainly your location in Smithfield or they can't be the only pork producer with this problem, with this issue. This has got to exist in other places. And you built this piece of equipment that's unique to you. Like you said, once you turned it on, once you used it, it became worthless to other people because it's built specifically for you. What about building and designing these pieces of equipment for other people in other places that have these same problems?
We're already in process of doing that.
Okay. And
there's a lot of excitement nationwide about how I'm doing stuff just because it's so clean and efficient. The biggest mess I have is if I start loading the mixer too fast and it shoots some straw out the top, and you got to sweep that up. But other than that, it is super clean, fast, and efficient.
That is awesome. Now, you told us a little bit about how it works, but I'm assuming there's some trade secrets to how you develop this that you're holding back for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. And so in terms of what's in the development, is is what's in the development you creating these pieces of equipment for other people, or you like going out and consulting and helping them create their own?
It'll probably be more of a consulting.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Consulting and designing, maybe.
Okay. Man, that's really incredible.
Each unit will be have to be custom built for what kind of property they have, or what kind of site they have.
Okay.
Because right now, the fastest I've had mine going, I was doing, well, when I timed it, I could do 1,700 pounds in 1 minute through the shredding machine.
Let's say that one more time for effect.
1,700 pounds in a minute.
1,700 pounds in a minute. My goodness. That's phenomenal. That's incredible. And I don't have the correct I guess scope of this piece of equipment in my mind. Maybe if I did, I would understand better. But
I'll show you. I don't know if these will come through good, but this is what the product looks like coming out of the mixer.
Okay.
So you can see
that's dry. That's dry product. Is that right?
It's wet.
Oh, that's wet. Okay.
I mean, it's not leaking, but I mean, it's moist.
It's moist. Okay.
That's straight out of the mixer.
Okay.
Then that's them dropping into the shredding machine.
Man, that is a gnarly job right there.
And that's about 12 foot in the air is how high that end auger is. Dropping in the shredding machine.
Well, I've watched videos of these shredding machines, shredding engine blocks. They are absolutely incredible. And so obviously it's going to work on something that's organic matter like a pig. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, are those shredders in there? Are they carbide? What are they?
It's the same shredder they use in rendering companies.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, it's just iron.
Okay.
But it can do wood, but you don't. And I have magnets set up in there, so there's no metal. If metal drops in there, it won't be bad for the teeth. So I have a big, powerful magnet that everything slides over to catch if there happen to be something in there. Hopefully, there's no metal in there.
That is phenomenal. So you're solving this huge problem. Are you, in terms of what you charge, are you more expensive, less expensive, or the same as them going to Denver?
I think I'm about the same by the time you add in trucking.
Okay.
Just because I mean, that's 4 hours of a truck coming to Yuma and going back out. So just trucking alone would be expensive. And then I have no idea what Darling charged them per pound or how they charged them. So.
Interesting. Now, I wanted to ask you about this as well. I've talked about this in the past, interviewed a couple people who've created businesses to serve farmers, to serve producers in really rural areas, because we've seen a lot of consolidation with businesses like Darling where they've moved to bigger metropolitan areas, and it's more difficult for people to get their products or get the services they need because they're so far away. Is that part of what's going on? Like, did you used to have somebody local that could have taken care of this for Smithfield?
No, the closest people were 60 miles away.
Okay.
And they were, when we first started out, there wasn't that many pigs because we weren't built up that big. Mm-hmm. So at the very beginning, they were able to take them. But as we grew and got more pig numbers, they had too much.
Gotcha.
Too much volume every day for them to take care of. So. And
has pork production historically been something that's gone on there in your region, or is that relatively new?
Nope. Relatively. It started back in about 1990.
Okay.
Is when the first Alliance Farm started. They were with Farmland Industries.
Okay.
It was the first company to start putting in a larger hog facility.
Okay. What brought it into your area?
Though, I just think the isolation, I guess.
Okay.
Being able to keep them isolated from other pigs. And then we're a large corn producing county.
Okay.
So just the feed source. Plus we're on the Ogallala Aquifer, so we have water.
Okay.
And farmland is spread the fluid on and whatnot. So
feed and isolation, biosecurity. And for a hog facility that big, I assume getting away from people makes it at least less of a nuisance because you don't have all the complaints.
Because most of their sites are out in the middle of pastures, and they have a few that are close to the road, but mostly the road only goes to their place or something like that. So,
well, this is really exciting. So you said that your dad told you guys early on that if you're going to come back, you're going to have a business to kind of support your part on the farm. What other ag businesses have you and your family been involved in?
Well, just yesterday, the city of Yuma called me, and we have pumping trucks and trailers.
Okay.
And they needed me to. They had a pipe, a main water line break, so I had to go in town and pump that for them. Then we also do lagoon cleaning.
Okay.
So I've done the city of Los Animas. It's about 2.5 hours away from here. They hired me to come in and clean their sewage lagoons.
Okay.
So I cleaned 2 lagoons for them. Then we have machinery to clean lagoons for feedlots and other places. So.
Okay. So how'd you guys get involved in that? I mean, obviously you bought the equipment, but what gave you the idea?
Oh, just I knew that there's going to need that these lagoons are going to have to be cleaned. So I went out and bought a dredging machine.
Okay.
And I had a great grandiose idea. I'd be able to dewater it right at the edge of the lagoon and put the water back in, have a dry material to haul out.
Okay.
And that didn't work.
Didn't work. Okay. Well, you didn't get discouraged. You tried another big idea.
Yep.
Oh, very cool. Well, it's interesting that, I mean, you're farming. You guys got plenty to do already. But you keep trying with these other ideas. You're buying these pieces of equipment, which anybody in the city could buy a piece of equipment too. Why do you think it is that farmers are being so innovative in buying it? Is it just you're so familiar with working with big equipment?
Yeah, it could be that. But my biggest thing is this gives us more stability because of farming. We get paid 2 or 3 times a year. Is it? We get paid a harvest when we sell cattle. So this gives us a steady income every month. And gives us the bankers love it because they know exactly you're getting guaranteed money every month. So
I mean, it's the necessity of needing to be stable, more secure in the farming industry that leads you to be pushed to finding a solution, finding an idea.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people
also it's something new to do. I mean, a guy gets tired of checking cattle and going through fields every day. So.
Okay. Now, a lot of people they've got the same issue as you guys have. And they'll go to town and get a job. Why do you choose to create your own businesses, take those risks, buy equipment versus just going to town and getting a job?
Well, some days when it's 105 degrees out, I wish I had an indoor job. But most of the days I like being outside. And just the excitement. Every day is something different. Okay. And that's what I like. I mean, every day, if I don't want to work on this piece of equipment or do that project today, I can put it off tomorrow and work on something else. So.
All right. So you've got something in your nature that likes that independence and those new ideas.
Solving problems.
That is really cool. Well, Rock, this is fascinating. What have I not asked you about this business where you're like, hey, I can't believe he hasn't asked me this yet?
Never asked about smell.
Well, I was trying not to go down there. But that's actually a really good point. These pigs, when they're getting brought to you, I mean, have they been dead for more than 24 hours?
They're pulled out of the barns that morning. Okay. So by the time they get to me about 2:00 in the afternoon. So they've been outside. Maybe they're probably pulled outside at 6:30 or 7 in the morning. Okay. As the trucks, they have 2 trucks that go around all their sites, picking them up and delivering to me. So I get them pretty good time. And then once it goes through and gets mixed in, it kind of smells, it's kind of a sweet smell, kind of smells like silage.
Is that right? Okay. Well, I was wondering, once you get it mixed in with all the different carbon and all the stuff that can trap those odors, I would assume you wouldn't have that regular...
It goes away pretty quick.
Yeah, it wouldn't smell like rotting flesh or something like that. Interesting.
And with this new system, it's good because with the old system, I still get big chunks of meat coming out or something else. And this new system, it's all blended in. You can't see anything. And one thing they do is they use biodegradable bags that they put all their afterbirth in. Okay. So in my finished product, you'll see these green chunks in there. But once it goes through the composting system cycle, in 30 days, they're gone, disintegrate because they're all biodegradable bags.
That's really cool. Fascinating stuff. When it comes to selling this compost, are you thinking, as you move forward, would it be selling it to other farmers, or are you thinking?
No, it'd probably be more gardeners, lawn care. Okay. Because I don't produce enough to be selling it to farmers, really.
So bagging it or in bulk?
Yeah, in bulk.
In bulk. Okay. I'm thinking about Denver right now. And now I'm going based off of stereotypes here, but I'm thinking about people in Denver going, man, this compost is great. And then finding out it's made from dead pigs and you know what I mean?
And one thing about my compost, with all the blood in it, it's higher in iron. So once you spread it on your lawn or something, it'll turn it instantly green.
That's really awesome.
Bring it up because I did have one friend who's in Florida. She takes care of a lot of nurseries for oranges and stuff, and she said, "Oh, there'd be a lot of people out here, horticulture people would be interested in buying it." That's a long way to ship compost.
That is a long way.
Florida.
That's a long way. Okay, well, Rock, you said that that you are you're working on doing consulting and helping other people set up these systems. If somebody that's listening to this show, if they wanted to get in touch with you and say, "Hey, we need that here. I want to be the guy. I'll hire you to help me develop the system and the business," how would you want them to reach out to you? How would you want them to contact you?
Oh, easiest would be through email.
Okay, what's the email address?
That's Uno, like UNO, cactus, CACTUS at Yahoo.
Okay.
So the Mexican one, the prickly pear at Yahoo.
All right. I keep getting more questions. That's a fascinating email address. How did you come up with that?
We had my brother and I owned a house or a shop together. And we called it Cactus Flats. Okay. And so I just needed an email address and came up. Don't remember how I came up with that.
Well, Rock, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a very busy man. Fascinating business you've got going on here, and I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Okay.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us here today on the Off-Farm Income Podcast. We would love to connect with you. You can find us all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And hey, if that doesn't work for you, I would be just more than happy to get an email from you. You can email me at matt@offincome.com. And you can always call me on the telephone as well. The number is 888-597-5596. And everybody, as always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.